And welcome back, Firewood Addicts, to another episode of Travis Does Firewood. Today we're having a little chat. Stay tuned. So before I get into today's subject matter, I just wanted to give an update. To my right, behind me, so the cottonwood is done. It's out of my driveway, no longer in log form, no longer in rounds, and it's split. It's processed, and now it's drying, and as I stand by it, it smells like puke. So this bay with the renewed IBC tote roof here, this is 3 stacks deep. So look over here, we got 1, 2, and then on the end. So these 2 in the front, that's cottonwood. I'm not that concerned about the middle one. I think there's enough airflow, enough sun, hoping that that middle one will not mold and that will also season. In the back here we have, I think, some softwood. I think it's for pine or something back there. Anyway, it's done. So I'm hoping that this will be good, getting a blast of west sun hitting the cottonwood, making sure that that is going to be seasoned as fast as possible. So, and right here, this is divided, and then all the cottonwood that I've processed, everything is divided. This right here is divided for bundlewood, and if you see over here, these pieces here are split a little bit bigger and a little bit wonkier. These are for my rackwood at the firewood stand. Okay, so this wood here, the middle row was for the core challenge, and did the episode. I didn't win. I don't know who won. Who won that challenge? Do you know? Let me know down in the comments. But obviously, this couldn't hold all the wood that I had in log form, so I ended up having to ferry and split over here. And so I got this spot. This is in front of some of the wood that I bought a little bit ago and resplit for bundle wood. In front here is bundle grade cottonwood in this section here. So this, again, I get the western sun and hit it. Hopefully this will be dry in a year. I don't know how long it's gonna take. And this section here in front of my arborist wood is portioned also in between. This right here is going to be rackwood, and then I have a partition here, and this is bundlewood. So this is all the cottonwood. It is, again, processed, stacked, ready to dry, ready to sell. Hopefully, I don't know, year. I don't know how long. I'll keep an eye on it, but not a great stack. But I don't like stacking tight. I want to stack loose. So there's more airflow involved. You stack tight, you're not gonna get much airflow. Okay, that's what I do. So let's get into the topic at hand. All right, so I am sitting in IBC tote. These totes, they're awesome. I think in the firewood community, it's been well documented on YouTube, social media, how we can use these in firewood, from sorting to stacking to organizing to drying, kiln, transportation, using a machine to dump them into a vehicle or trailer. The list goes on. It's pretty much a universal tool. In a lot of areas, you can get them for cheap or for free. They're abundant in certain areas. Other areas, they're not that prevalent. It is hit and miss in terms of how you can get them, when you can get them, and for how much. So in my most recent episode, I was questioned a few times in the comments, which is totally fine, about my usage of these totes and how I should do it different or whatever. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to defend myself or create an argument or debate. I'm just going to tell you why I use these totes, why I use them. So here we go. So reason, I don't know, number one, reason A, I don't know. I use them because for me it's a unit of measurement. I can say in my description on OfferUp or Marketplace or whatever ad I want to use, my even a website if I had one, that I don't sell. This is what I have. This is the dimensions of the cage, and it's loosely tossed, not stacked. This is the type of wood, and by general consensus or calculations, toss is going to be about a quarter of a cord, or you could say a third of a cord if it's stacked. However you want to do it, or to give them the dimensions of the cage and let them do the calculations themselves and figure out how much wood is actually there based on a reference of a cord. Obviously, this is not going to hold a cord, but in terms of like it's going to be a third of a cord, it's going to be a fourth of a cord, a half a cord, whatever they want to call it, or to clarify or to calculate. Right there you go, calculate. Because I don't sell cords, and not everyone knows what a cord is, what it looks like, what it should be, and the dimensions. 4x4x8, 3 rows of split wood at 16 inches, 128 cubic feet. That's a cord, okay? And everyone knows that. So you may get there with a trailer truck full of wood, and you dump it, and they're like, what is this? And you're like, this is what you ordered. You ordered a cord. Well, this is too much wood. You gotta take it back. This is too much wood. Well, because people don't know what a cord is. So that's why I give them a picture and say, this is a cage of wood. This is and this wood is going to be approximately X amount of cords, or a fraction of a cord. There we go, fraction of a cord. And then they can visualize that more so than just saying, I'm selling cords of wood, or I'm saying half a cord. You know, it's to be transparent. So that's the one reason I use the cages. It's my unit of measurement. Well, now we get to, why don't you just put it in your truck? Just level it off and call it a truck bed. A truck load. Truck bed load. Truck. Anyway, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I guess, but not all truck beds are the same. They're different dimensions. So, what I call a truck bed would be a different amount of wood versus my neighbor or the next person selling firewood. So, if you're gonna do that, would you have the dimensions of your truck bed in your ad for when you're selling firewood? I don't know. I mean, so right now it's about, I don't know, 19 inches high. We got 57 inches wide, which is just shy of 5 feet, and lengthwise we got 5 feet. So I mean, I guess I could do the math of what that would be in terms of a fraction of a cord, and that's fine. I guess people do sell firewood in as a truck bed, truck load, and that's fine. I just feel that it's not for me. Even if I stacked it, level it off the very top of my truck bed, I have a net I could cover it with, but it's cumbersome to secure that. Other people drive down the road with wood in their back of the truck like this to deliver it, and I don't think that's safe. I don't think that's safe. Firewood delivery, if you don't secure a load properly because of time, or you're in a rush, or you don't care, that's not worth injuring someone and causing a car accident, maybe killing a person. That's not. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that, right? So a truck bed worth of firewood. Granted, this is not firewood. This is my kid's soccer gear in the back of my truck. It's for some people. This is not for me. And I feel that it's more of a consistent unit of measurement using the totes versus even thrown in loosely in here. One could argue the opposite, or argue that they could be both inconsistent, and not uniform. And you could be right, but again, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just trying to, and I'm not trying to defend myself. I'm just trying to explain why I use totes in my truck when I do deliver firewood, and I do not deliver firewood in large quantities very often, as you know if you have followed my channel. So that's that for the truck bed argument. So something else came up in the comments of the episode of not using totes, using the truck bed, and wanting to like build up like a cage, like some sort of using like 2x4s or like plywood or even pallets, and to create a box in the truck that would, in theory, be able to hold more wood. That's great. I did something similar months back, getting more firewood. I think it was cottonwood actually, and I used pallets to see if that was going to be holding more wood versus a tote. I forget the outcome of that experiment, but it was a good one. But even with that experiment, using the pallets, they were not secured. They weren't even like using screws. They were just strapped down to each other, and I could take them out. Versus having to build a cage with plywood and 2x4s or boards that would be more or less semi-permanent. I would have to create action or using tools to take the structure down. And I don't use my truck for firewood all the time. This vehicle, oddly enough, is the family vehicle. Where we go as a family, we're taking the truck. But that's on my wife. I don't know. She feels more secure in the truck. I don't know. But she won't drive it. I don't know. So I use it more for my own personal use and family time versus firewood, right? So I can't have like a permanent or semi-permanent design infrastructure in the back of the truck just for firewood. So that's that part. I mean, others have a designated vehicle for firewood. I do not. Others, they don't drive their truck or whatever for firewood very often, so they can afford to have a structure in the back of their truck. Others, the truck is their firewood, working related labor, manual labor, construction, whatever vehicle, and their boards on the side of the truck, that's permanent because that's what they do, and that's totally fine. I'm just saying that won't work in my personal situation. Having a structure, walls type thing in my truck. So that's another reason why I use the tote. I can put the tote in the truck, strap it to the front of the bed, and secure. I'm done. And then when I'm done with it, then I take out the tote because it's so light, and then I clean up my truck, and then I'm done. Easy peasy, rock and rollies. So on the note of dimensions and people understanding what you're advertising, what you're selling, and what they could be buying, this stack here of bundle wood is going to be at, I don't know, let's go 6 feet tall ish, and let's go 4 feet wide. So what that would be at a fraction of a cord, I'll leave here now. So you could advertise and show the dimensions of what this is, of what this stack is. So for example, you're going to only be selling this stack and this stack alone as green or seasoned wood, whatever else, and you give them the dimensions, and they're 16-inch length cut, and whatever fraction of a cord that is, you're selling that. Okay, so you're being transparent of that, but even the dimensions or even a photo may not give justice to the amount or quantity of wood that is here. Okay, once this is put in a trailer or a truck or a tote or wheelbarrow, the volume, not the volume changes, but just the appearance may change. The stack that is stacked, it looks different when it's in a pile on the ground, or in a tote, or in a mound or a toss in the back of a truck or trailer. It looks different. The volume is still there. The amount of wood is still there, but it may appear different. Okay, so people may not be able to visualize this stack, what this actually means, how much wood this is, how long it could burn for them in their fireplace, in their wood stove, outside burner, whatever. So hoping this is making sense. Versus if we go and I pan over to the tote, some people may be able to visualize that better. A cage, you know the dimensions, they have seen the cage before, and we're driving around or at work, when they're travels or business, they know what a cage looks like. They know how high it is, how deep it is, the width, the dimensions, they get a feel for it. Versus a random stack of wood that person may claim to be a fourth of a cord, a third of a cord, half a cord, that may not mean anything to them. It may be meaningless. Not everyone is versed on the numbers in terms of firewood and the terms and the definitions of what everything means. You could educate them, but what I'm saying is some people, not all, some people may not understand what this is, what they're buying, what they could receive versus what they could buy, could receive in a tote. I guess one another reason why I like these totes is because a lot of people could stack nicely in here, probably one row on each side in the middle, put some wood, and they'll try to squeak by with getting a third of a cord in here. And I think that's possible, especially with the bigger dimension totes, right? I find that, and I've done that before, I think a few times on deliveries, but I find that it's just faster to toss. Faster to toss in the wood, and yes, I'll try to make sure there's not a lot of air gaps or pockets in there. So the people who I'm selling the wood to is getting as much wood as possible that this tote can handle, right? But it's all going to be tossed out of here, out of the tote that's in the back of my truck. Anyway, so it's faster for me just to toss it in here, cover it up, and deliver it, because it's all going to be tossed out of here. I don't have a way to, when I deliver, to offload it with the machine. It's all going to be manually loaded and manually emptied by these bad boys, right? Which doesn't take too long to do, really, especially if you have the customer helping you offload it when you're on site, right? But I think that tossing in these cages works. It works for me versus stacking. That seems to work in my situation. It may not work for everyone, but it may work for some. I'm just saying. This is my only example of a cage, and I have stacked the wood. This is some bonfire pieces that I sell at my firewood stand, and this stack, because I wanted to see how much bonfire wood I could fit in here, because this wood goes for more or less $1 a stick. So yeah, making some good money here, but this is an example of what it does look like when you do stack wood in a tote. So I'm not sure if I have some footage of it, but when I transport these cages with firewood inside them, I cover them with a mesh tarp. Mesh tarp doesn't fly away, whatever, but it keeps the wood more or less contained, and I feel safe enough to drive. Yes, pieces of wood, like my chunks, could come through the sides, which is why I kind of drape it over and use a ratchet strap around it to secure it. Now, like I mentioned before, there's not an easy way for me to secure a load of firewood in the back of my truck, either loosely tossed or stacked. I'm not gonna drive down the road with just wood in my truck without it being covered. I'm just not gonna do that. Some wood that I do sell is lightweight and it could fly out. Sharp corner, wood piece could come out, it go through a windshield or on the road and cause a traffic jam or an accident. It's just not worth it. A lot of people out there do sell firewood in their vehicles, in their trailer, in the truck, and it's uncovered. That's on them. That's on them. But for me, firewood in a vehicle is going to be covered. Period. And it's easier for me to cover it in a cage like this versus the back of my truck. So the ease of covering it, but that's just me. So those are just a few points of I'm not pointing out using totes for firewood. I'm pointing out using totes to deliver firewood, transport firewood, and I think there's good reasons. Again, I'm not defending myself. I'm not creating a debate. I'm just trying to define, in a nutshell, why I use them and how I use them and how it works for me. And I'm sure I've used these points throughout several episodes in the past, but now they're all condensed into one here, as you just saw. So, I mean, to each their own. If you don't want to use totes and you're fine stacking in the back of your truck or trailer, covered, uncovered, that's on you. I mean, whatever you do in your wood yard does not impact me whatsoever. So I'm just trying to share my thoughts and opinions and views of how I do things, and I hope maybe you can learn from it. I don't know, if you learned something today, let me down in the comments. But I mean, this is the only cage I have that I cut and ground open. I have other cages, obviously, but because I only can fit, as you saw in the last episode, I can only fit one loaded tote of firewood in my truck at a time. Have transported more than one tote to a customer, but it was with my truck and a trailer. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Again, I don't sell bulk firewood. When I do, it's to a few customers. When I have the wood available this season, did not get a lot of wood over the summer to be sold over this winter, so that's going to be a bummer for a few of my customers, but it is what it is. Hopefully I can ramp up and get more wood in the wood yard ready for this coming summer and possibly next winter. So that's it for content wise, but I wanted to point out the podcast season 2 is going. I've only had one interview thus far, with my new friend John. A few pending interviews, and one is coming up this Sunday, folks. I think you're gonna like it. And I have one coming the following Sunday. So picking up. I hope that you enjoy these two interviewees. I think podcast is pretty cool. But if you want to be in the podcast, let me know. Send me an email. My email is in the description page of my channel. But that's it for today. I appreciate you turning in. Until next time, life's too short to be a prick, so be kind to one another. Rock and roll. Stay safe. Keep cutting. Cheers.